This video is sponsored by PPA, Professional Photographers of America. Join a community of over 32,000 photographers that includes equipment insurance, education, and business tools made specifically for small business owners like you. Yo, what's good, y'all? This is gonna be a very interesting video. I wanna have a discussion. So feel free to fire off in the comments. I really want y'all to let me know how y'all feel about this topic, because me and Creative Ryan had a really interesting conversation about this when I was in Atlanta a couple of days ago. And I wanna know how y'all feel about this too. So this is the brand new GH6. This is what's hot. This is the talk of the town. This is the new thing, right? In the filmmaking world, whenever a new camera drops, we always talk about it. And you know, we ultimately decide if this thing is trash or if it's good, and if we're buying it, if we're not buying it. But I really think that this camera may flop because of this camera. This is the EOS R6, and this came out, I think, a year or two ago at this point, maybe a year and a half. And I want to talk about why I think that this camera specifically, and cameras like this, will be the ultimate demise of this camera, right? You put these down. So when I was down in Atlanta, Ron was playing around with the camera, and he was asking me, are you excited about this camera? He said it just didn't feel like the old days when the GH4 came out, the GH5 came out, and we were excited because these cameras were revolutionary in the sense that they were bringing features and you know, qualities that were not accessible to us at an affordable rate at that time. When the GH4 came out, it had 4K on it, which was crazy. We had been used to 1080p video recordings. We have been used to 720p 60 frames per second recordings from using Canon cameras. And this thing just came out of the blue. And we had never used a Panasonic camera before, but we all got on board because we were very excited about this new resolution and these new sets of features that were available to us at a really affordable price. At the time, we really didn't care much about autofocus. More so because it really wasn't available to us on a widespread variety of cameras. And it also just wasn't the reliable thing to do. We were just so used to manual focus and lenses. But then Canon improved autofocus, and then Sony improved autofocus. And these two juggernauts began to start implementing a lot of the things that we wanted from the cinema line into their bodies. And the price of the cameras just became cheaper and cheaper for what you can get for the price. Also gotta say that our necessities and desires as filmmakers has changed significantly since those times as well. More than ever, creators are wanting to utilize autofocus. And that can be because either they're trying to create content for YouTube, they're filming themselves, or they just want ease of use when they're out in the field. People just want to turn the camera on and have it work. And I feel like the GH6 is just not that at all. Now, don't get me wrong, the GH6 and the R6, they can create very similar results when the situations are right, but the use of the cameras and the experience of using these cameras are totally different. And I feel like they are just polar opposites. And I feel like they are for a total separate genre of people, like on both ends. On one end, you got the brand new GH6 that just came out. It can do 5.7K up to 60 frames per second. It has 10-bit in almost every single mode. It has variable frame rates all the way up to 300 frames per second. It has internal ProRes, it has shutter angle, it has waveform, it has time code in. A lot of features that are really only in cinema cameras or cameras that cost a lot more money. And this camera's only $2,200, I believe. Then on the opposite side of it, you have Canon R6, which is essentially just full frame. It has 10-bit, but it only does 10-bit at IPB. The colors out of it are fresh. When you turn it on, it just works. It has minimal settings, and the photography on it is just great. It's so easy and it's so simple to use. This is what we're used to when it comes to creating content. So I feel like both of these cameras are totally different. This is for the cinema enthusiast who wants 100% maximum control over what they're creating, and this is for the person who just wants ease of use. You turn that Canon camera on, you press the Q button, all your settings are right there in front of you. It is so simple. And when I'm speaking about the R6, I'm more so speaking about cameras that are like this. I place cameras like the Sony a7 III, the Sony a7 IV also in the same realm, given those cameras do have a little bit more settings, but when you turn them on, they just work. You can trust the autofocus. You can trust the color out of these cameras to look good. And you have to do minimal setup in order for you to achieve this look. Now, like I said, both of these cameras are 100% capable of achieving the exact same thing, but I feel like the person who is using these cameras is just gonna want different things. And I feel like we have almost gotten beyond the point where people want all of these complicated features. Now don't get it messed up. I enjoy these features, and that's why I primarily use the cinema camera. I love shutter angle. I love waveform. I think that the freaking histogram sucks. I love being able to look at a vector scope. I love being able to import a LUT inside of the camera. These are all things that I personally love. But I think that the genre of filmmaking and the type of content that people are creating nowadays has significantly veered away from this. And also it's so easy to get an image that looks very similar to what you can get from these cinema-esque cameras. So the gap between these is getting smaller and smaller. We've gotten to a point where cameras are so good that specs are just specs. We have to think about how we want to use these cameras. And I feel like even though the GH6 is an amazing camera, and I actually do like it, I think it does decent photography. I think the autofocus isn't that great, but it does work. I think that the video features are incredible. The amount of things you can do on this camera, the in-body image stabilization, all of these things are great. But when it comes to using it, it is just not as easy as using my R6. And sometimes that easy use is just what you want as a filmmaker. And I think the majority of people who are creating content nowadays want that. They also want full frame. Full frame is just something that is so hard to fake. People love shallow depth of field, people like low light sensitivity, and I feel like that might be the ultimate reason why the GH6 flops, man. Now, while we're on this topic of new cameras and gear, I want to give a brief word from the sponsor of today's video, PPA, Professional Photographers of America. Professional Photographers of America is a community with tons of photographers and perks that can really help your business. One of the biggest perks of being a part of this community is you get $15,000 worth of equipment insurance. This is incredible and vital if you are a business owner. Another incredibly important perk that they offer is data recovery services, which is crucial if you're shooting any sort of events. And another awesome and really useful resource that they have is customizable contracts. When I was starting out, this was the hardest concept for me to grasp. I didn't know where to go get contracts from. These are customizable and you can change these up to work perfectly for your business model. So down in the description is going to be a link to take you over to Professional Photographers of America. This link will give you a special discount to start your membership right now. While I do think it's an incredible camera, I think the majority of people will not give it a chance because all of the other options on the market are just either easier to use, more reliable in the autofocus category, or just flat out full frame. So filmmaking gear as a whole is changing right now, and our necessities and needs as filmmakers is changing significantly as well. Do me a favor, man, head down to the comment section and let me know, what do you think about this topic? Do you care about the GH6? Do you think that filmmaking as a whole has changed? What do you need as a filmmaker today in terms of necessity in your gear and your reliability in certain aspects of it? I would love to know. This is something that I want to, interact with y'all with in the comments about. And I just want to get the discussion going because me and Creative Ryan having this conversation was very insightful. And it made me think. I was legitimately excited about this camera, but it seems like a lot of the response of people just isn't. So I would love to know why. Let me know down in the comment section. I want to thank Professional Photographers of America once again for sponsoring today's video. If you guys want to take advantage of some of the awesome perks that they offer, make sure you guys hit the link down in the description to start your membership. My link will give you a special discount on a membership. Highly recommend it. Definitely go check that out. I'm out, y'all. Peace.